Thanks everyone for coming. My name is Ellen Komp. I'm Deputy Director of California NORML, state chapter of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. We have on board also Dale Geringer, the Director of Cal NORML, and Bruce Margolin, Director of LA NORML. We're going to hear from Dale in a minute about some things that are happening at the federal level. And we're also going to go over our Smoke the Vote guide, which is for national, state, and also local offices and initiatives. We have some exciting news on the MORE Act, and we're also trying to push people to contact their representatives to co-sponsor or vote in favor of it. So let's go over to Dale and find out the latest and how we can get passage for federal legalization, or at least a vote on the House on that this year.
So the word is that there will be a House floor vote on the MORE Act, the first ever House vote on a true legalization bill. That's HR 3884, and MORE stands for Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act. And it does all,
Sorry.
It does all of those things. Let me just credit, by the way, the California delegation here has really come on board in support of this act. Our congressman right here in Oakland, Barbara Lee, is a co-sponsor. Lou Correa, Ted Lieu, Eric Swalwell.
Hold on, everybody.
Jared.
Can everybody mute? We're getting a lot of background noise. I don't know if it's coming from Dale or who. Everybody please mute. Right. You were saying Dale, Barbara Lee is a
co-sponsor, and there's a bunch of others, including Lou Correa, who I guess we'll hear from tomorrow at Susan's conference, and a bunch of others. Briefly, what the act does is, number one, above all, it deschedules marijuana and THC from the Controlled Substances Act, basically eliminating all federal laws against marijuana, although not state laws. And that descheduling would have to occur within about 180 days after passage of the act. Secondly, it puts a 5% tax on sales of cannabis products. Now, I can hear people saying, what the last thing we need is another cannabis tax. However, that would be more than compensated by the fact that the 280E tax problem would disappear, as would the banking problem, because marijuana would not be a controlled substance anymore. So actually, the industry would be better off under this 5% federal tax than they are with the 280E that they have now. The monies from that tax would go to a bunch of different programs. There would be a cannabis justice office overseeing how the money got spent, and some of it would go into community reinvestment grants for job training and literacy programs and health education and legal aid for people trying to get their records expunged. There would be a cannabis opportunity program which would provide SBA loans to disadvantaged people, which are defined to either be people economically disadvantaged to low income, or people who have prior records of convictions for cannabis crimes. There would also be a grant program, an equitable licensing grant program, which would go to states that have equitable licensing requirements for their state programs. And equitable licensing requirements mean waiving fees for low-income applicants, and not excluding people for past criminal convictions. And also for not drug testing people without suspicion. So that's a fairly ambitious set of programs there, but that's the reinvestment part of the act, and it's funded by the 5% tax, which, as I said, represents still a net profit because the 280E tax exemption would be gone for the industry. The final part of the act is resentencing and expungement. Basically, anybody would be able to have their record expunged for past federal cannabis crimes of all kinds, it looks like. And they talk about literal expungement and somehow throwing the records away. So that's an ambitious mouthful. It's all there. We are hoping to get a vote, and we're hoping that we can win that vote on the floor. I have to say that the Democratic caucus has been voting very well on this. We don't have, in fact, all the Democrats in California, I am expecting and hoping will support it. We only have one Republican, Tom McClintock, on record for this kind of thing these days, but maybe we can attract somebody else. So big vote coming up. Not sure of the exact time yet, but it should be before the end of the month.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dale. And yeah, that will be a historic vote. That will be the first time there will be a vote in Congress on legalization. And there are 87 co-sponsors for that bill. We're doing a push to try to get more California co-sponsors with all our local chapters, LA NORML, Contra Costa NORML, etc. You want more information about joining that effort, you can, I guess, write to me, ellen@canormal.org, put something in the chat or something. I was gonna share my screen. Let me do that right now and show you where you can find this sort of thing. About MORE Act and everything. Let's see. So the thing I usually do, well, MORE Act is front and center at normal.org right now. So I'm just gonna type in normal.org. Aren't I? There. Normal. And it should come up in a second. It'll tell you about the MORE Act. That's the #1 thing that our national office has been working for it. And here it is coming up right up. Lawmakers prepare for historic vote on MORE Act. On the MORE Act. I'm clicking on that, and that has a link to contacting your lawmaker in support of the bill. You can do the pre-written letter. You can edit that letter. You can write your own letter. You can send it from here. And sorry, Christopher, is someone not muted? Yeah, I'm gonna mute you, Christopher. Okay. Bill is muted because he has his mask on. Okay. So, and in general, if you want to just see what action items are available at National NORML, and they also list state items on this, just go to normal.org/act. And it has all the federal priorities, doing a campaign to Biden and Trump, trying to get them to commit to ending prohibition. There's a Veterans Act, there's a Banking Act. And if you scroll down, you can see it's state by state. All kinds of stuff. Oh, that's my phone. Sorry about that. That's the national site. I wanted now, are there any questions on the MORE Act or the campaign to get co-sponsorship and passage of the MORE Act?
Yeah, what did Dale say about testing? I kind of mumbled over that, drug testing. He said something, I'm not sure what he said.
Dale,
Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Dale. You're muted. Dale, you're muted.
Dale. Dale,
Dale, you're muted.
I've asked him to unmute.
You're
There's
muted.
his finger.
Got
Okay.
it. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
What that had to do specifically with the equitable licensing grant program, which gives grants to states that have licensing programs like California does.
Mhm.
And it only gives grants to states that have equitable programs. And one of the requirements is that they not engage in suspicionless drug testing,
Okay.
which I don't think that the Bureau of Cannabis Control does here in California, but that would be one of the requirements to get for a state licensing program to get a grant. It doesn't do anything about the the federal drug testing regulations for that are occupationally based. Doesn't really affect drug testing in the large, just in the context of these state programs.
Thank you.
Good catch, Bruce. I hadn't seen that. That's great. Yeah, getting rid of unwarranted drug testing in the workplace remains Cal NORML's #1 priority. And unfortunately, our bill to do that this year was stalled with all the COVID priorities, and but we hope to move on that again next year. And it's good to see something like that included in federal policy. It's very much something NORML's committed to as a consumer advocacy organization. Okay, so moving on from the MORE Act, we're going to move to our Smoke the Vote guide. And I've just navigated to the page at Cal NORML. Actually, let me start over to show you how to get to it from Cal NORML website, which we just redesigned with the new NORML logo. This is the 50th anniversary of National NORML. We're sort of doing a rebranding, doing a lot more coordination between state chapters and local chapters. It's been really great. Got a fantastic crew. So here's a National NORML site, or California NORML site, which, by the way, is translatable into Spanish. You can see a little Espanol sign up there, flag, and up there. So the entire site is translatable, which is great. If you scroll down just past the slideshow at the top, we've got employment rights, as I said, our #1 thing. We put together a local action toolkit. And we also have this Smoke the Vote guide, which is where I'm navigating to now, Vote for Marijuana. So the first thing that pops up in here, something NORML has done, this very first link, is they've teamed with HeadCount for a tool where everybody can check their voter registration status or register to vote right online on this tool. So you can, if you're registered or you're not, or not sure, you can just fill out this information and you can register to vote, and you can opt in to be informed from NORML and HeadCount of future things. Sorry, I think I have more participants wanting to come in, so I'm gonna pause a second and do that. Participants, sorry folks, okay, oh no, I guess I've got them all. Okay, excuse me. So heading back to, nope, that's the wrong tab now. Whoops. Oh yeah, here we go. Heading back to the Cal NORML Smoke the Vote guide. The first link is to National NORML's Smoke the Vote guide, which is also a really handy tool. This is where you can enter in your address or your 9-digit zip code. And if you don't want to enter in your address, there's even a link where you can find your 9-digit zip code so that you can just enter that in. I'm going to enter in Cal NORML's address in San Francisco to show you an example of how it works. So I'm just entering my address in, and it's figuring out for me, well, there's my 9-digit. And it's figuring out for me who's on my ballot, what's on my ballot here. So the races on my ballot, I've got Nancy Pelosi running again for her seat against a challenger who is also in favor of legalization. So over here on the left, in the green are the grades from NORML. They both got an A grade. And then you can click on the candidate and find out more about them. So in Pelosi's case, as speaker, she tends not to vote on bills, because we do include voting records, but we also include positions on here. We've got her position on marijuana legalization, on medical marijuana, comments that she's made with links to the comments. So we've been filling this out for every candidate for state and federal office in California. Here's her votes. There's two different ways that they track the votes. There's this Vote Smart thing. Some of these are repetitious. So she, as you can see, she has a good voting record. And there's a button down here where if you know something else about a candidate's position on marijuana, you can click that to tell us, and we'll include that in the guide. That's at the very bottom down here. Going back to the other candidates on the ballot, we've got Senator Scott Wiener. So he's in the race for state senate. As we know, we have a bicameral form of government. Federally, there's the House and the Senate. In California, there's the Assembly and the Senate. Scott Wiener is a state senator from San Francisco. Clicking on him, he's got an A+. He's actually sponsored legislation. He's got a good voting record. And that, you know, is the information that people need about him. And then Assembly, and the Assembly in that district is David Chu. He's in favor of legalizing, taxing, and regulating as well.
My goodness, can you hear me?
Yep.
I noticed that Star Child is running against David Chu.
Yeah.
Star Child is actually a well-known libertarian from San Francisco who has been a long-time marijuana and legal drug supporter, and actually has volunteered and helped us out some years ago on various things we were doing. So he is a known quantity if you are not satisfied with David Chu, but David Chu is going to win that race in any case.
Dale predicts. So, well, look, clicking on here, see, we don't have anything on Star Child yet.
I'll put it, I'll add it.
This says know this candidate's position. So see, you can click on that and I'll show you what that looks like. You know, please check the applicable statements, give them a rating, add in your sources, your email address, and you can just submit that right into the guide. So that's really nifty.
I'll take care of it.
Okay, great. So that's an example of how it works. And again, it works for every address in California. You can also go down here to the state and you can see all the elections. It comes up first with the federal elections. You know, some of these are very clear cut. As we know, the districts are very much drawn to favor one party or another in California. And so I'll show you later, I have a place where I do have some key districts where we think there's really a race. And Susan Soares, who's on the call, has done a great job of actually getting some of these candidates to appear on her special event tomorrow for a tiny town hall starting at 9 a.m. And several of the candidates here in California, I'll highlight these in a minute, like Christine Busber is one. She's running against Jay Obernoldy, who's got a D rating. I haven't been able to find out her position. I'm very interested to hear her tomorrow and find out what her position is on this. Josh Harder is one who did respond to us to a questionnaire that we sent. And it goes on from there. Okay, so back to the Cal NORML Smoke the Vote Guide, from which I navigated to the normal one. I'm covering here local races, local ballot measures, state propositions, key congressional races, and key state legislative races. So we start with the local races. We really are trying to gather more input on these local races. These are often key, you know, a lot of these people who run for local office end up in a state or national office someday. And as we know, a lot of the decisions about cannabis licensing are being made at the local level. So here I've got a good candidate, and I've just started today coding them green for good, as we did on our DPFCA guides. If you red for bad, position or record, and black for neutral or unknown. Diana is definitely in the green, running for Adelano City Council. We've got Steve Young running for Benicia Mayor. He's going to be in the tiny town hall tomorrow morning. And we've got something from Oakland City Council, San Diego Mayor, San Francisco Supervisor, Santa Cruz, West Hollywood. And we're looking for more from more of the, you know, 58 counties and 482 cities. Now's the time to reach out to candidates in your district, find out what their positions are. If you want, I have questionnaires prepared. I'll try and link those to this page so that people can send those out if they want. It really sometimes takes a local constituent to reach out to them. Next up, I've got local ballot measures. A lot of these were compiled by Hirsch Jane from LA NORML, and he's going to be on Susan's call tomorrow. Susan, what time does that session start? Let's see.
Hirsch's is at 12:30. It's the local ballot measures with
Right.
Sean, Callie, Ray, Jessica. I always say her name wrong. I call her McElfresh, but I guess it's wrong.
I think it's McElfresh, but yeah.
McElfresh, Sabrina Friendrick, and Jackie McGowan.
Great, yeah, that's a great panel from all over the state. Talking about, you know, a lot of these measures are to tax cannabis businesses. So, you know, at the local level, a cannabis tax measure almost always passes at the local level. They started even before Prop 64 passed. It doesn't necessarily mean locals are gonna go ahead and license, and it doesn't necessarily mean the tax is a good one. Most of them, you'll notice, say it will allow a tax of up to 10%, and that does give the city council or whoever the option to lower that tax, and that has begun to happen in some places. But sometimes it's the first step towards getting licensing in a city or county, and locals kind of use it as a referendum on how people feel about having a cannabis business in their locality. So you see there's a whole big list of those, and these are alphabetical to find your own. Next, there are a few state propositions. These aren't marijuana propositions, but they're criminal justice propositions about cash bail and allowing federal felony parolees to vote. I'm for that one because a lot of felony parolees are on marijuana charges, you know, and currently they can't vote until they finish their parole. Next, we've got key congressional districts. So these are all covered in that NORML Smoke the Vote guide, but these are the ones that are contentious and are going to be, I think, the battleground districts. I mentioned Jay Obernolte. Chris Busber is going to be speaking at the town hall tomorrow. Susan, would you mind putting in the chat the link to that Zoom call that you're hosting tomorrow?
The registration, yeah, I put it in there already, but
okay,
I can do it again.
So it's there if people want to find it. We've got TJ Cox is also speaking tomorrow. He's narrowly defeated a Republican in his Central Valley district. I've met the guy. He's a very nice man who's in favor of marijuana. His opponent has been a terrible voter, and that's a key district.
Can I say something about him?
Yeah.
So he just went, like 3 weeks ago, went to his first cannabis business, which was a cultivation site, and he was blown away. He would like to do more tours, and he was hesitant to be in the tiny town hall because he thought that he had to be an expert. And I said, no, our audience is full of experts, and you know, even feel free to ask the audience questions. And he was super excited about that. So hopefully my experts will be in the audience tomorrow.
Yeah, he doesn't come from the cannabis industry or anything, but he's for business development in his region. His wife, I think, is a nurse, and he understood the medical side of it. So yes, he's definitely new to it, but he did just sign on as a co-sponsor of the MORE Act. So that's great. And Susan also got it, the opponent to Ken Calvert, who's in the Riverside County. He's a long-term Republican who has, you know, never, I don't think, voted in favor of one of our measures. Liam O'Mara beat out several other progressives to challenge him, so it'll be interesting to hear from him. Daryl Isa's back, a longtime opponent, running against someone who locals support. I don't even know how to pronounce this gentleman's name, Abar Kampa Najar. That's a key district in San Francisco. Some of these others, if I just have them in black, I don't really know their positions. Yeah, Dale?
San Diego, not San Francisco.
I beg
Campanajar.
pardon, did I say? Yeah, San Diego.
He
Yeah,
ran last year.
right. Yeah. And as I said, some of these are an uphill battle for the challenger. They're, you know, a lot of them solidly Republican districts or Democratic. And, but like no one thought TJ Cox was going to win, and he did, so it can happen. Dave Cortez from, now we're down to the Senate, key Senate, state Senate districts. Dave Cortez is going to be on Susan's call tomorrow, running for Senate District 15 in San Jose. We've got a couple other key districts there. And then here's some assembly districts. Alex Lee is a good candidate from Milpitas. He's a young Democrat who's very up to date on this issue and very progressive. Julie Solis from Kern County is a member of the Brownie Mary Democratic Club down there. And she actually was very active in TJ Cox's campaign and stuff. Tom Lackey's one of the few Republicans we're able to endorse. Cal NORML is nonpartisan, you know, whoever's in favor of us is who we endorse. But his opponent, Steve Hawks, has a bad voting record. So you can kind of scan through and see, and this is an important election. A lot of people are fundraising outside of their district, and you really want to get involved. This is a good kind of overview of what's happening, and we'll be updating this as we get more information from folks. I have at the start of every topic a way to send input on it, and like I said, we'll be very interested to hear tomorrow what some of these candidates say in the town hall. And I really hand it to Susan for doing a great job in getting so many of them to participate tomorrow. So I hope people can sign on to that call. And then Dale is going to do, starting at I think 12:45, a smoke the vote panel. Can you guys tell me a little more about that? What's happening with that panel tomorrow with Dale? Dale or Susan?
We're going to talk more about the election, basically.
All right, we'll keep it at that, I guess. But that's another panel. A lot of people from the cannabis industry, kind of what's, oh yeah, here it is. Here's Susan's page. So here's local ballot measures. That's at 12:30 to 1:30. Yeah, 1:45 to 2:45. We've got Dale, San Diego, San Francisco, Karen O'Keefe from MPP, Kyle Yeager from Marijuana Moment. And then she's wrapping it up with a Drug War 2.0 panel about, looks like social justice and cannabis, which also looks very interesting with Omar Figueroa and a bunch of people. So is there anything else you want to say about your conference, Susan?
Yeah, I mean, the Drug War 2.0 is going to be really interesting on our practice session. It was very lively. David Berger is running for LA Superior Court Judge. And he's got some really interesting, we started talking about how the law enforcement doesn't really want to touch enforcement because felonies went to misdemeanors, and now it's just civil matters, and how you, if you're low income, you don't have the benefit of a public defender, because there are no lawyers involved. So we just went down all kinds of rabbit holes. It's going to be really interesting.
Fantastic. I'm going to try to undo my screen share now. I don't know. not giving me that option, so I guess I'm still on that. So does anyone have any questions about the guide, how to access it, how to get involved, about tomorrow's event, anything or anything else, I guess? No, I guess not.
Yeah, I got a question, Ellen.
Hi, Deb. Yeah.
Yeah, earlier, maybe about a month ago or so, we were working on potential amendments regarding cleaning up cannabis throughout the California statutes. What's going on with that?
We're getting ready to move on that this month, Bill. There was this Rock'em Sock'em emergency session in August that just wrapped up, and nobody really was ready to talk to us until that finished. So I'll circle back with you about that. I did write a very, bare bones kind of draft bill based on the statutes that you had identified, and I've been seeking input on that. And we're looking for a sponsor for it. We have some ideas. So yeah, that's coming up very soon. So I'll get back to you about that.
Yeah, because I just got a case yesterday up in Placer County. It's a grow case, and there's 6 felonies.
Wow.
Conspiracy felony, 11366.5 felony. We found mailing stuff in your house, so you're exporting it, felony. One of your roommates is 20 years old, felony.
Right. How they do love to charge stack, and yeah, and then there's the question of whether those conspiracy charges and stuff are going to be expunged. I think the hardest thing to address is going to be the conspiracy, because that's so broadly written. We're kind of struggling with that. So if you have any ideas about how
Yeah, it's real simple. Conspiracy to commit a misdemeanor, the potential sentence should be what the misdemeanor sentence would have been. Because right now, a marijuana conviction, which is maximum 6 months, if 2 of us grow together, that's a conspiracy, and we go to prison for 3 years. If it was limited to the same penalty as the underlying crime you're conspiring to do, then it would be a 6-month misdemeanor too.
Ellen, you're on mute. Looks like you're trying to speak.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Yes, I went back and forth. I'll share with you, Bill, the Google Doc with the language that I've been working on. And if you need to figure out exactly what statute to put that into.
Sure, send it over.
Okay, great. Anyone else?
Well, I'd like to ask Bill something. Bill?
Yeah.
So, look if they were exporting out of state, that's a felony. So, the conspiracy for a felony is something to be very unusual.
No, it's okay. They're charged with cultivation.
Yes.
Conspiring to cultivate, that's a felony.
How would they charge them?
Possession with intent to sell, misdemeanor.
No, I know.
Conspiring to possess with intent to sell, felony.
I got it.
Transportation with intent to export, that's a felony.
Yeah.
And using someone under 21 years old to help you cultivate, that's a felony.
Well, that's a tough one too. That could be tough.
Yeah.
What a mess. How much weed was it? How much did it cost?
I don't know yet. It sounds like a couple of warehouses, a fairly large amount.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, this just came in yesterday, and I just saw the complaint for the first time a couple hours ago.
Yeah. I've been warning people about these misdemeanor turning into felony possibilities. Up north, they do it. I've heard a few times, different counties, but not in LA or down here. I haven't heard of it happening.
Yeah, I mean, I just beat one in Glenn County where they got the field workers and they charged them under 11366.5, making the space available. And the prosecution theory was they were making it available to themselves. And the judge threw it out at prelim.
Oh, did he? Good. That's good to hear. Thank you.
But this new one I have, one of the people what brought the cops there was somebody shot off a gun. So
Mhm.
he's charged with unlawful discharge of a gun, and he's also charged with aiding and abetting himself to hide from getting arrested for unlawful discharge of a gun.
There's such a thing.
I don't know how you can aid and abet yourself, but that's what's charged.
I think these guys are not smoking good dope. That's for sure. These guys are making this stuff up, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, Susan, congratulations on what's going on. You're really rocking these days. I see all your posts and texts and everything else. It's beautiful.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Bruce. Thank you.
And Chris Conrad, oh my God, what a beautiful face. That's your picture or is that just a phony one? Chris, are you there?
It's just a still picture. So kind of you, Bruce.
I gotta walk you out and show you.
How many felonies is he committing in that picture?
Yeah, I gotta walk you out to my first plant. There we go. The first plant. There it is. That's our first plant. Isn't it nice?
Ah,
That's my son, my grandson, my daughter. You guys know this?
Hi,
daughter?
everybody. It was
hi.
really good.
Hi,
Election
Allison.
update. Hi.
This is your daughter, my granddaughter.
Oh my.
I'll go back in the house. I was just showing off my plant. That's what I was so excited about. So what's going on, Chris? Anything you can tell us going on in your world? Because I know you got a lot of ideas. Chris, unmute yourself. Are you there?
Hey, what's up?
Okay, just testing you. What do you got to tell us, Chris? Anything we should know out there?
Well, basically, we're on legendary status. We're moving forward full steam ahead. We have this historical floor vote that's coming up the week of September 21st. So, man, most people never thought we would have saw this, just like, we're living among this pandemic seemed like something like out of a Hollywood script, so many movies that always make the same scenario, but now it's real life, reality. It's pretty crazy.
Listen, Chris, would you turn yourself around? I can't see not enough light on your face. You know that? Next time. Thank you.
Oh man. but you heard me though, right?
Yeah, oh, there you are.
You heard what I said?
Teeth. Chris,
No, I said you heard me. You can hear me?
I hear you. We heard you. You sounded good. I just couldn't see you in the dark. Thank you.
Oh, well, yeah. So what do you think? Is legendary status or what? What do you think? I believe it's legendary status, but it's just the beginning. We still have a long way to go to forge the path ahead for legalization on a global scale of cannabis.
I don't know. It's getting pretty exciting. Chris Conrad, are you really there? Is that just a phony picture?
No, I'm here just listening.
Hey, Phony, have you testified in any cases at all? But lately?
Not really. Everything keeps getting pushed out further and further. I've got 2 or 3 cases that may or may not ever happen. One federal and a couple state, but they just keep going and going. I might be in court Friday, but we don't know yet. So that's all I can say about that. No interesting cases for me.
What are you going to testify about being an expert in weed? What are you going to say in the federal court? I was saying, what can you testify in federal court about? Chris Conrad?
It's kind of a complicated one. It's with David Nick. It has to do with basically the defenses. They charged him with the felony that was the wrong felony. So my job is to explain why it wasn't the felony that they charged him with.
Okay. You're going to tell the jury the law, huh? The judge is going to let you do that. One time I was in federal court, I tried a case and I told the jury that with circumstantial evidence in California, I made a mistake. I didn't know it was not in federal court, that they're supposed to use the concept for innocence. And the judge was so pissed off afterwards that he was giving him the contempt for the argument. What do you think about that? Not good. Did you know that, William, that circumstantial evidence is not considered the same it is in California? There's no presumption of innocence when it comes circumstantial in the state court. It's otherwise. I lost you. Lost you.
Huh?
Did you know that, William, that in state court, you know, hold on. Oh, sorry, guys.
Somebody's got a phone going off that I can't hear anything except the phone going off.
Yeah, it's that jerk Bruce Margolis. His son's calling him now. Hey, by the way, he's taking the bar right now. He's excited about studying. I was going to say, did you know that state court that circumstantial evidence is to be determined for innocence versus criminal, guilt? Well, in federal court, they don't have that bill.
You mean the instruction that if circumstantial evidence points toward both guilt and innocence, the jury has to go with the innocence?
Unlike California law, if there's an instruction saying that they have to consider it towards innocence versus guilt when they make without proof. But in federal court, it's not like that. I didn't know that. I screwed up. But it's okay. So my client was found guilty, but they reversed it on appeal. It was a case involving setting him up. He was entrapped. Okay. And I had an argument with the judge about the ruling he'd made on the advising the jury on the entrapment. It was reversed. I made a mistake, and he made a mistake also. And his mistake cost them conviction.
Well, that's good.
Sure, that's true. Anyway, that's enough of my scuttlebutt. I won't take any more time, you guys. It was 4:20. I was talking out, so I got a little bit, enthusiastic.
Yeah.
That's my problem. It's one of the things about weed. I have one problem with it. It subjects me burst of enthusiasm. Is that bad, guys, or is that good?
No, I think Tina's getting enthusiastic next to me right now. I'm going to wait till 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to thank all of you that know that we can smoke dope and beat it free at last here in California. And it's really, every day I thank goodness for it. And thank you, guys.
Well, thank you, Bruce. You've been at it longer than anyone, I think, almost on this call.
Wow.
So, anyone else have something they want to add? I guess we'll wrap this up and hope that people vote, know who they're voting for, get involved with local candidates or pro-cannabis candidates from California. It's an important election, as we all know. And also gets involved with helping the MORE Act to get a vote. That would definitely be a step in the right direction.
And Alan, I want to thank you too. People call up, who should they vote for? I don't know who these congressmen are in most of the state, but now you're right on your website. That's tremendous. Right. It's a big help to the consumer and for people out there. It's a lot of work too, and I congratulate you. Who's helping you with all this work?
Well, National NORML actually did the platform, and they actually are pulling in the voting records. Dale and I used to do it ourselves, do these spreadsheets and publish these voting guides in the newsletter and stuff. So that's helped a lot. And yeah, we're just kind of putting out to locals. The local chapters are helping.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
really helping.
I just got one story to tell y'all. You may remember that the last time we did a Zoom meeting here, I was, oh wait, I have to unmute. Oh, unmute, okay. The last time we did a Zoom meeting, I joined from in the car. I think I was driving through Nebraska at the time. My mom, who's 95, has been having health issues, and so I drove back to New York because I didn't want to get on a plane. Well, she recently fell again. She cracked 2 ribs and punctured a lung, and she was in the hospital. And she was telling me how she didn't want to live anymore, that she'd had a great life and everything was fine and she was ready to pass away. And I said to her, Mom, don't you want to stay around long enough to vote against Donald Trump? And the next day I talked to her and she said, I'm staying alive. I'm eating again. And she wants to get out of there and vote against Trump.
A reason to live, right? A reason to live, huh?
Congratulations, Bill. Before we end the call, though, I didn't get in here till late because I don't know, I just couldn't get in. But have you guys talked about that hemp bill that's in the legislation, like 227, if I have the right number here? Because I'm hearing from I'm not that familiar with where it stands. 228, that's what it is. And it looks like some people are telling me it puts additional restrictions on hemp, and other people are saying that it protects them. And so I just wonder if has anybody read it or have a familiarity of how to parse that bill?
Dale, unmute yourself. Dale, you're muted. You have to
Dale,
unmute
you're
yourself.
muted. Dale, you're muted.
You're muted, Dale.
I got it.
There you go.
The button, the unmute button had disappeared, you know, and you got to look around anyhow, AB 228 is dead, okay? There've been long negotiations. It's basically a CBD hemp bill. They're trying to make hemp-derived CBD fit into California's legal system so you can sell it in health food stores and stuff like that. A big issue I know has to do with the taxation. Can you take this hemp-derived CBD and throw it into the legal system, right? Because if you grew the CBD, it would be you have this cultivation tax and everything. If you grew it as cannabis under the state licensing system, but if you were under the hemp system, you don't have any taxes, right? So it makes sense to get your CBD, to grow your CBD in the hemp system and then bring it in to the marijuana system to mix in as you might want. And I don't actually know how, you can see there's two sides to that. You can see how there would be people currently in the licensed industry with CBD varieties that they're growing and having taxed at the full tax rate. And all of a sudden they would have to deal with these competitors who have, hemp-derived CBD that would be a lot cheaper. And I don't know how they've worked out that conflict. I know there's a lot of other issues, technical issues, and there are definitely two sides to that bill, which has been morphing there were lengthy last-minute negotiations trying to work out the details, and CCIA, Amy Jenkins there, was really involved in that, and she knows all about it. And I don't, but anyhow, the bill's dead, okay? I'm going to have to redo it again next year.
Thank you.
Status, there's no regulations for hemp. Is that correct still, or what? There's no regulations on hemp?
Yeah, well, there's no state but we need state regulations on the CBD part of it, because it doesn't fit into our food. I guess it'd be a food supplement. They're trying to make it available as food supplements or something, but it doesn't. California sort of follows the federal scheme. The federal scheme doesn't allow it, so we would have to modify the California scheme to allow it. And that's the central issue there, to somehow get a handle on these CBD products, which would actually be good because the CBD products that are out there now, are not tested. And the quality control on them is really poor from all of the reports I've seen from consumer labs. You really don't know whether that thing that's advertised as having 5 milligrams of CBD has 5 or 3 or 8 or maybe 2. I don't know. So we'd like to see testing, actually. So then you would have licensed CBD and unlicensed CBD derived from hemp, right? Tested and non-tested. But they have to set up the regulatory structure for that. It doesn't exist now. So, right now it's caveat emptor as to what you find out there in the market. It probably comes from somewhere and made by, Laotian immigrants in Colorado or something like that. I don't know.
I have another pharmacochemical question about this, because I know they've done some reports lately that said that one of the reasons it's hard to gauge the potency of THC in food products is because chocolate apparently potentiates it or something like that. And
I
now,
don't know about.
you know if that's also
okay.
true of CBD products and things like that, or is that unique to THC?
Nobody knows about CBD. Nobody knows anything about it. Nobody, I mean, really. I mean, how much of it gets absorbed into your system? Do you absorb it better orally or by inhaling it, or or by vaping it for that matter? Nobody sorted any of that stuff out because nobody can. You really can't tell what kind of dose of CBD you got, right? Isn't that true? I mean, I can't tell very well whether there's any in there or not. I mean, I could fool myself as to whether there was CBD in it. And maybe occasionally I have actually felt a definite CBD effect, but I don't know whether it was like 20 milligrams or 5 milligrams or 40 milligrams. And there's been very little study of that. So it's sort of the ideal placebo out there, it won't hurt you. And, if it doesn't make you feel better, well, then maybe you will try even more of it. I mean, it's a great product that way, right?
And also the whole thing about the way that when people are, they're trying to get the marketing around what the FDA has going there, and the fact that the tests have showed at different times that sometimes they showed up they didn't have any in it, sometimes it was stronger than it was supposed to be.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. You need to have rudimentary testing. I mean, it doesn't have to be this elaborate stuff that they're doing with the pot, but it has to get the
purity.
Yeah.
At least purity and potency at the minimum.
Yeah. So.
That's it for me.
Okay.
By the way, did everybody see Brett Stone, what he sent out today, had a story in it about some studies showing THC being beneficial for people with COVID that have certain lung conditions, and THC has been very helpful.
I didn't read the story. I mean, was this an actual study? Did they actually identify patients who had favorable reactions, or is this just theoretical? They did.
No, they've had research that shows it.
It makes sense. It makes sense. As Todd Mickery always said, it's a great immunomodulator, which means it tamps down extreme autoimmune reactions, which is what kills people in COVID.
Well, the study had to do with its anti-inflammatory properties.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's all related. It prevents inflammatory attacks are basically autoimmune attacks, and cannabis tunes that down.
Well, there's a particular lung condition that people get with COVID so that they can't bring in the oxygen, and they said the THC looks like it's very helpful.
Yeah, Bill, I had a panel on this in July, and I just put the link for the video in the chat. Excellent panel. You're going to enjoy it.
So let me ask a question here. Does anybody here know people personally who've had COVID? Because I mean,
yes, that's a yes on us.
No, on my end, and a lot of people's end. I think one reason a lot of people are having. Oh well, hello. Hello? Who's that?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Is that Chris again?
Yeah. How you doing? You hear me?
Yeah. I can't hear Dale, but I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, he was asking about we knew anybody that caught COVID-19 and passed away. Like, yeah, my brother's girlfriend, she had some other underlying health conditions, so she went in for a surgery. The surgery went well, but then when it was over, she ended up catching COVID-19. But previously before that, she had got tested a few times and she had tested negative. So most likely they believe she caught it, contracted during sometime her visit there at the hospital. But the surgery was a success, but she ended up dying from COVID-19. So now the family is pursuing a lawsuit against the hospital So they have a long trip journey ahead of, journey ahead of them. But I wish them nothing but, massive success. And hopefully they get successful in their endeavors. Mhm.
Okay, then anything else?
Thank you.
Ciao.
Hey, good night, everybody. Thanks for participating. Tune into Susan's event tomorrow.
Thanks.
The URL's
Yep.
in the chat.
Thank you.
This is a historic day for me. I'll tell you, I'm talking about the federal legalization has really knocked me out of my socks. I gotta tell you, it's really exciting, you know?
Yes, indeed, Bruce.
I really,
Good
I
Bruce.
feel like, I think it's one of the special days in our lives. Looking at all you people here, you all look healthy and pretty, and your game and hair, just it's glorious. The day,
And I just want to say, Chris, sorry for your loss, man.
the day to remember, the day to
Yeah, sorry about that.
for. Peace.
All right.
Yeah.
Peace out.
You.